Hello everyone, hope you all are doing good. So we'll be talking about the test series, the mains test series, public administration, and obviously talking about the regular details of the test series program. Then we'll briefly talk about what exactly this answer writing or scoring potential, how it is enhanced by writing good answers. Everybody talks about good answers, best answer, scoring answer, but technically I'll tell you honestly, nobody knows what is that. Unless somebody gets a score and then somebody says, I wrote it this way and I got good score and this is how you should follow. And the same process in the next year doesn't give you marks. And it is true with optionals, it is true with general studies, and it is quite true with the essay as well. So we'll talk about first briefly about this idea that what constitutes a good answer writing and how test series comes into picture, what exactly test series does, right, and what it does not do in fact, whereas most of the test series, including what even we do, every test series, somewhere ultimately comes to one particular stagnant approach, is to evaluate, give marks to the student and suggest that, okay, fine, you can do these changes, right? But ultimately, the methodology of the student is not changing. He is only adding some good content to the existing redundant content which he has written, to some lack of understanding, to some little more understanding of that particular topic which has been evaluated, but he doesn't develop an overall temperament. Why he doesn't develop an overall temperament? It is because he is not able to visualize the subject as such. And even the students we teach, right, they also end up writing mediocre answers in spite of the fact that in very detailed manner we teach them. A lot of things we teach. Obviously, a lot of things depend upon student to student also, right? It's not just about always good content and good delivery and a lot of sources for the subject. It's not always dependent on that. A lot of things are dependent upon the aspirant, the way aspirants have initiated their understanding, right from the beginning, how they have understood it, how they have visualized a topic, how they have tried to understand diverse aspects of a particular topic, how easily they have been able to mix things and understand them. So it depends a lot on the students as well, and not just on us, or not just on the books, or not just on the content, right? Because ultimately you are the person who are going to write. And in that instant of 3 hours or 6 hours span that you're writing in a day, right, what exactly strikes you, how things influence you, right, and how probably you recollect or reproduce the knowledge that you have, that makes a lot of difference. So that D-Day or the exam day is equally important. The conditions are equally important. The understanding is equally important, and that is why you do practice. So 2 to 3 things, let's talk about that, right? That exactly how the test series will go. So we have a test schedule we have created starting from 29th June. That is after your prelims, almost 10 days or 2 weeks after your prelims, so that you can have little time, you can enjoy yourself before you actually get into the grinding process of, again, mains preparation. Also, you can get little time to think about the content you have studied. You can just go through certain revision part, and in fact, you should revise the ones you finish your mains or prelims. Then you should focus on directly on mains without even thinking whether you'll qualify or not the prelims. Obviously, you get a fair idea that yes, where I am, but still, right? As you know, surprises, that is UPSC. So you should always prepare. You should not stop it because ultimately that is what you want to do, right? Yes, but don't prepare like obviously a person who doesn't have a vision, right? Prepare it with a vision. But one of the important aspects is that optional should be one of the first priority once you know that you are going to qualify prelims. Optional and essay becomes a very important part because they will give you a lot of good marks, right? So we start with 29th, right? And there are tests which are designed, as you can see. Fine. So as you can see, that there are all together, right? So we have around 4 tests in paper 1, which will comprehensively cover a lot of areas, right? 4 tests in paper 2, right? Where certain other aspects of paper 1 will also be integrated in the test. You can understand the entire schedule from the app. You can just download the app, right? You'll see the entire detail given there. So there are technically, right? You can say 8 tests, 4 plus 4, paper 1, paper 2. Obviously, if you see the number of tests, 8 are not that too much. They are not more number of tests. Actually, they are actually less number of tests, right? But why we have tried to do it so that we can comprehensively include a lot of areas and we can somewhere interlink those areas, mix those areas and then ask you questions. So that will give a very interesting scope of the paper, question paper, right? And probably you will have develop a better understanding of how you can include many topics at the same time, right? Even though, right, focus will be more on sectional understanding and it will not be overall understanding. But yes, through the sectional papers also, you can somewhere, you will be able to somewhere very peripherally, circumstantially, you can understand various other topics of the syllabus, right? So if you're doing 1, 2 unit, they are very big, as you know, they're very vast scope. A lot of questions are there from unit 1, 2, and 3. So even if we are doing those units, right, of paper 1, so then also we will have little scope of linking this with, let's say, CPA, with administrative law, with development administration, with public policy, and likewise. So there are a lot of scope there to link with it. So that we'll try to do, right? That is why we have tried to keep the number of tests little less and not get too much into the micro topic that people think that we'll be able to revise this topic, because the utility of that topic in isolation is not there, right? The utility of the topic is with respect to something. Paper 2 also, similarly, that will be covered, right? You can see how it has been designed. The units which are linked together will be asked together, and the units which give a lot of scope of creativity, a lot of scope of intermixing, a lot of scope of what you can say, destroying the usual stereotype, that we'll try to do together. Fine. So finally, by 10th August, it will be over, right? But what we have done, sorry, 17th August, it will be over. So you'll have ample time, obviously, to review the papers again and to come up and ask the doubts, right? To at least, try to attempt the entire paper. Obviously, when you're writing the test, you cannot attempt the entire paper. You'll have choice. But once you are done with that, you get the marks, you get the reviews, then the rest of the questions which are left in the papers, right, that also you can attempt or write the pointers and discuss with us, right? Then what we have done something unique, right? We have tried to capture the essence of now the question paper. Most of the students have this query, this complaint that yes, we don't get much marks in paper 2, we get good marks in paper 1. Conceptually we are quite clear, but why does it happen? Paper 2 poses 2 important threats. One, the problem of content, the repetitive nature of content, that is a big problem. So you think of let us say values in Indian constitution, right? That is basically, let's say, philosophical values, philosophical context, that is unit 2 of paper 1. Fine. And then you think of unit 2 of paper 2, and then you think of unit 1 of paper 2, the unit 1 of paper 2 where you study the impact of Arthashastra or the study of Arthashastra, impact of Mughals, impact of British. Now, when you study them, right, there also somewhere you see that they have shaped the value system of Indian administration. So we will have, let's say, diverse sources which will impact the value system of Indian administration. So we cannot simply look up at only the constitution. We have to look at the historical factors that have impacted the emergence of the Indian administration and its value system today. So you see, so even if we ask questions in Unit 2, right, automatically we'll bring Unit 1 into that. If we ask question in Unit 1, automatically Unit 2 comes into that, right? So this creates a big problem. So what we did, obviously that is like a content issue in paper 2. Secondly, the repetitive nature of content. Like I said, lot of repetitions you write. Finance Commission, Union-State relations. Federalism, right? Then Union-State local relation. Decentralization of power, planning at the grassroots level, and planning. So there are a lot of chapters you see. 14 units in paper 2 ultimately overlap to make 8 or 9 units, not more than that. It would be illogical to study all of them in that way. So otherwise you will not have content. If you will have content, it will be repetitive again. So decentralization, local governance, administrative reforms, administrative issues and challenges, changing nature of district collector, district administration, lot of areas are there, right, which cannot be understood in isolation from each other. So this poses a big threat in paper 2, right? And we all, whatever we want, even if we teach, the nature of the content doesn't change much. So we try to incorporate case studies, comparative case studies, right? Global case studies, best practices across the globe, second ARC, then certain quotations, certain references of certain books, right? Certain scholars talking about certain things, theories from paper 1. We try to do all that so that your content becomes little interesting and at the same time it becomes meaningful. Otherwise, it will be useless. So examiner will feel like reading the same answer again and again, and obviously he will not give marks. Right? There is dearth of diagrams because in paper 1 it is more easy for us to use it. In paper 2, right, we can graphically represent things, but we don't exactly may get certain diagrams, right? So in paper 2, innovation, novelty, creativity, lack of content, and again lack of theory and practical interlinks that may be missing. Right? Though it is not a very complicated aspect, you don't have to think that way that it is so demanding. It is not like that. It has to be developed, right? It has to be understood slowly and slowly. That is why the tests are designed. So tests are not just for revision. Tests are not just for evaluating your progression of marks. Tests in a way should be designed, or they are created in a way so that they can nurture specific kind of orientation within you. They can develop certain kind of thought process. They can help you start visualizing questions in a particular way. So how well designed questions are, how open-ended questions are. You see a lot of open-ended questions are coming to in the exam, right? You cannot exactly conclude and say, okay, this is what a good answer is. Okay, so that is a challenge. So what we have done, we have put in a test, right? One of the tests we have put in specifically for that, right? To deal with that. See, the test number 9, second ARC based HOTS or high order thinking skills. The high order thinking skills, now they will be challenging questions. They will try to cover most of the ARCs, various dimensions of various topics that are asked in the ARC, which are part of your syllabus also, which have been discussed through the ARC reports, which directly are part of your syllabus. So how those questions can be asked in innovative manner, how those questions pose a challenge to the content to be developed, how those questions create a kind of stalemate, a deadlock that you're not able to move beyond understanding the questions. Many of them are not understandable. For example, ARC uses a term, right, that administrative reforms in India are like punctuated equilibrium. Now that's a challenge. For obviously, it's as a language also it's a challenge, right? Plus, at the same time, already people believe that PubMed has more high-end vocabulary, which is not technically true. But because administration is such a ongoing activity, such an evolving activity, that a lot of global perspectives come into that, right? That is the reason. So punctuated equilibrium now, see. So a normal student obviously was not studied ARC, and even if he has studied the summaries of ARC, he may not have gone into that details. And he will miss a lot of important vital concepts because obviously nobody can just sit and read those ARCs. Okay, that is where the utility of PubMed as an optional also comes. So let's say, for example, this is one example, right? Or it was written that, okay, yes, there is a, there is a golden mean, right? So once a question was asked me, there is a golden mean. We need to follow a golden mean between public sector and private sector. Now see. So obviously this concept can be used in ethics. This concept can be used in social justice. This concept can be used at many other places, right? But the concept of golden mean, right, is talking about a balance, an equilibrium. So likewise, this ARC-based questions are many in the exam, even though people may say ARC is outdated, but in reality, the concepts that it talks about, the issues that it talks about, the underlying problems that it has discussed, they never go away. They always remain. Right? Poverty was a problem in 1950 also, poverty is a problem today also. Unemployment was a problem then also, it is a problem today also. Yes, the definition, parameters, the scope has modified, fine, but nothing new will emerge under the sun. It will be same. So keeping that perspective of second ARC, it becomes important and interesting both. So this will be one test based on that, which will try to obviously evaluate a lot of things, and it will try to give you a lot of content. That is the idea. So we'll discuss it, we'll develop content around it, right? We'll discuss the questions, develop answer formats around it, and then you will realize that, okay, fine, yes, this is how I could have used my theories, my examples, my current perspectives, and I would have taken the base of the second ARC and written this answer in a much better manner. You'll yourself realize that how your content improves over a period of time, right? Then obviously you have two mock tests, which will be one of paper 1, one of paper 2. It will include obviously the entire syllabus. It will be the look-alike of the UPSC, right? In terms of coverage, in terms of toughness, in terms of difficulty, both. Mixed application of topics, like for example, we have also created one test for interlinking the topics from paper 1 and paper 2. Now this creates another novelty or creativity that, yes, now we'll mix it, and now that or through that test we'll learn that how we are able to link, how we are able to associate one topic, one idea with another idea. See? So now this will give you a lot of advantage, right? You'll never see, you'll not get shocks in the exam. You will be able to understand the underlying principles, theories, and application in Indian administration. You will be able to understand why Riggs, why Weber, right? How NPM, how NPS, how dichotomy, how Weberian model, or how criticism of Weberianism, right? Or whatever new public governance, public value management, a lot of new things have come, right? And how they will be visible now in the context of Indian administration as well. So that is the utility of this test 12, and it will make you ready technically for the exam. So the test will be conducted, right? Discussions will be done, answers will be evaluated, and I'm really quite openly, I would tell you that yes, it takes time to evaluate answers, because if I have to do it, I have to give it to my subordinates. That cannot help. So I take time, we evaluate it, we'll take little time. And to be very honest, the first 2-3 tests are evaluated with more creativity. But because what happens over a period of time, the monotony comes into picture. Most of the tests, most of the people choosing the questions more or less are similar, right? So you read a lot of answers of similar type, and somewhere obviously this reduces our tendency or motivation also of evaluating everyone neutrally. We also get somewhere influenced by that content, and we start somewhere developing a mediocre benchmark for evaluation, right? So to avoid obviously that, okay, we take little time, We evaluate answers, but whatever the feedback you'll get, most of the answers we evaluate, most of the marks people get, they get almost plus minus 10, 15 marks, what they get in the UPSC, always, right? Always. That is very sure that whatever we evaluate, so people will get 10, 15 marks plus minus to that. In fact, they will get above it, but they'll not get below it, right? Unless in exceptional circumstances. That's also, we'll try to discuss that in the classes when we discuss the test, that why certain people have been consistently scoring less than 200 or 200, 220 margins, and why some people have gone beyond 260, 270 or 290, right? So a lot of students over the time have scored 290, 294, 297, 300, right? Many have scored obviously 250 plus, and there are so many also who have scored less than 250 or and somewhere around 200, 220, right? But there are discernible, there are distinctive factors, features within the both, right? So when we'll discuss, we'll talk about it, that what constitutes, what differentiates a person who consistently scores 200 and one who consistently scores 250, 270 and above. There are quite measurable differences between them. The only problem is that a student is not able to overcome the barrier, the kind of mindset he has developed, right? Why that happens? Because they use, or people or aspirants use test merely as a tool of understanding or quantifying their efforts. They do not qualitatively improve upon using the tests, right? They get 100, 120, 130 evaluated by the teacher and they feel, oh, fine, this is good. No. Our scrutiny, our marking is tough. Scrutiny is very detailed. Students say many times that, oh, okay, we get demotivated, but they don't understand. That's not demotivation, right? That is the actual polishing, that is the grinding, that is the finishing which is needed, right? I cannot simply evaluate so that you should be happy. Yes, I will evaluate so that you will be willing to improve in the next test. You will be willing, you will be fighting for that, improvement. You will be struggling for that improvement. That is important. If you don't put that effort here, right, you're going likely to get, very casual marks, and ultimately you'll realize, okay, what did I study in the subject? Whatever I did, right, it's not giving me marks. That is not the reality. Don't blame the subject. Don't blame the evaluator. They are evaluating with the same perspective most of the options, right? So kindly look into the finer aspects, right? Content through the discussions will give you a lot of, right? PDFs will give you, handouts will give you wherever needed, obviously, right? I don't want to burden you with more content, but I want to burden or unburden you with the new understanding of the same content, with the new development, with the new development in the original idea, right? How to improve the idea, how to improve the understanding, not necessarily compile one content and pile up another content and pile up another content. No, that's not needed. That is not how you score marks. Fine. So thank you so much for listening to me. See you. All the best. We are waiting, right? Obviously for you to give better prelims, clear prelims properly, right? And again, start your preparation for the ultimate goal. Fine. See you then. Thank you so much. All the best to you.